skinny.
Welcome to the Weekly Social, folks. Everything Katy, Fulshear, Richmond, Texas. Today we have Peyton with Katy Counseling. Thank you so much for coming out. We also have the lovely Joyce Eisenberg with Select Title and Missy with Redline Realty working hard behind the scenes today.
Hey guys. Hi.
Kelly, tell us a little bit about Katy Counseling and yourself. Thank you.
Sure, yeah. So Katy Counseling is a large group private practice here in the Katy area. We serve the entire family, so that's everything from ages 0 to 100 plus, children, teenagers, couples, individuals. We do a lot of trauma work, and I'm the clinical director and founder.
Thank you so much for doing that in the local community.
Yeah.
That's very good of you. How long have you been practicing out here?
So I have lived out here in the Katy area, let's see, since my son was 2, so 24 years I've been in Katy, and then I've been practicing therapy in this area for around 15 years. So
okay, so well versed, well seasoned.
Yeah.
So, I've never been through therapy, so I don't really know what questions to ask. But that's why we have Joyce here. She said she had
Lots of therapy.
lots of questions.
Lots of questions.
let me just say, I highly recommend it for everyone. So don't be scared.
Not saying that I don't.
Agreed.
I even go to therapy. Did you know that? Yeah.
Okay.
Even therapists have therapists sometimes. Yeah.
Yes.
And I recommend all of them do.
Yes, I am a huge proponent of therapy. Going through autism, my son was diagnosed when he was 2 years and 10 months, which was about 20 years ago when it wasn't as popular. And just getting him into, like you said, you do play therapy, and we did.
What is play therapy?
What is play therapy? There
Okay.
we go. Let's start there.
Yes.
In short, it's just kind of a big word to say therapy that's been adapted for children, because children don't have the emotional vocabulary. So you and I can go to a therapist and some adults don't know either, but we can better articulate what we're feeling and what's happening for us, and maybe make connections to why. The children who are young, a lot of them haven't even started talking or may have delayed speech,
Yes.
but as well, they just don't understand it yet. They don't know what they're feeling. And so we use toys, because toys are the language of children. Play is their language. And additionally, even for older people, adults, teenagers, play is actually one of the pathways to feeling safe.
Really?
There's a whole lot of research around it that's really cool. I should tell you about the tickling rats and things like that.
So when kids are playing video games, they're being safe. No, I'm teasing.
No tangible toys.
Yeah. But there are actually weirdly some benefits to video gaming. Not as
Small
much,
ones if my kids are
not as
watching.
much.
I'm sick with my son Brian.
No.
there as with anything, right? It's all about the dose.
Yes.
And of course what they're playing.
Moderation.
You're right.
Yes.
With anything, it's what are we doing? So what are we eating and how much are we eating?
Yes.
So again, anything can be beneficial or have a problem. But there are some things that can be helpful with that if done the right way and in the right dose.
Yes, everything in moderation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Even sweets.
Yeah, but we do prefer obviously not in our
Even
sessions.
kitties.
We prefer the toys and the activities. Yes, the kitties.
Our crazy cat lady.
Well, before I forget, where are you located?
Sure. Yeah.
Just
We
get
are
that
off
out
of
quickly.
East Fernhurst Drive, which is at the intersection of Grand Parkway and I-10, right behind Academy.
Is it the office building back there?
There's an office complex. So there's a building, I think it has the Hive in it, where there are neighbors.
Yes.
So
Okay.
we're in the Parkway Ridge office condominium park.
Got it.
There.
Behind Academy.
Yep. Behind Academy.
Love that.
So
Texas store?
closest.
So that's good because it's nearby, because that's where we are. I mean, we're in Katy right now, and Katy Fulshear Richmond is where we try to focus.
Yeah, you're not far from here. You're really close, and I'm lucky I get to live within 7 minutes of the office, so that's nice.
Yes.
Hey, Kelly, quick question.
Yeah.
So, do you offer Zoom online therapy as well?
We do.
Since we're talking about location.
Yeah. So, and I have a secondary practice as well in the San Antonio area. So we have in person there, in person here, and then we do virtually throughout Texas.
That helps. That helps people squeeze it in.
Yeah.
You
No,
can't
we
do
do a
the
lot.
play therapy. What other different kinds of therapy do you do? At the
Well,
office?
I'm going to stop you there. We actually can do play therapy online.
Oh, you can.
And a lot of parents don't understand
Really?
that.
Okay.
Yeah.
See?
And we were doing this before COVID, but imagine what happened to us during COVID.
Uh-huh.
Right, we had to
Right.
really those that never had done it before had to learn. I had already done it, but there are an incredible amount of opportunities and options. And actually, I found we did some really amazing therapy with the kids that were in their home, because we got to see them where they were and we got to utilize resources that were in there.
They're safe areas.
It was so powerful to say, hey, let's go find an object in your room that helps you feel safe, or something that you're proud of, and then they could actually tangibly take that thing from their room, and we're doing therapy with it. It was amazing. So
very cool.
but yeah, I had to go back to that because I heard,
Yes.
yes, we can.
Yes, we
can.
Because that's great, because people can squeeze it in.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure people make excuses not to go to therapy, and therapy helps in lots of different aspects of our lives, and talking about things.
Absolutely.
And a lot of people these days don't talk. Our kids, our teenagers, they don't communicate as much as we used
Text
to.
and stuff.
Yeah,
That's
it's misunderstood, miscommunicated. Yes,
exactly.
I think.
Well, to be proactive, what would be like a clue or something to where a parent with a child will go, hey, I'm seeing this trending, something that a tidbit that you can give to the parents out there watching this, to get them in front of it versus being behind it.
Absolutely. And we have actually on our website, we have, I think on our child counseling page and our teen counseling page, we kind of address some of that.
Awesome.
So it does matter depending on the age of the kid. So if we have a younger child, think elementary school, right, or lower, we might see some regression in their behaviors. So for example, maybe toileting problems, sleep issues, things that we had before when they were really little. It's like they're taking a step backwards. That's always a kind of concerning sign when we see that. There can be some medical issues for some of those things, but again, that's a sign. If they are having difficulty sleeping, if they're becoming a little bit more clingy, having difficulty separating, whereas before they could do that, that's a little bit of a concern. Children who obviously are getting in trouble at their schools or their daycares, we see a lot of hitting, biting, other behaviors.
Seeking attention through other wrongful means.
Yeah, definitely. We see a lot of what we call emotional regulation, or big feelings. So they have trouble managing their big feelings,
She knows all
and
the
they
right
don't
words.
know what to say.
I don't.
They don't know what to do with them.
Yes.
If parents are feeling lost, confused, tired, exhausted, and they just are really worried about their kid, that's already a sign. I believe parents have a gut understanding. It's
Of
not
course.
you. It's not you. There's nothing you're doing wrong, parents. You are doing the best you can. And let me give parents out there hope. If you're doing like 20% right, you're doing enough. Really, it's the
That is
research
so
shows
good.
this. I just want to give everyone reassurance. We are so hard on ourselves, especially moms. I know I was, and we're just here to support, and not in a place of judgment or you're doing anything wrong. We just happen to have some skills, and because we're on a different side of things, we can see it, and then we might say, hey, here's something we might try. Let's experiment and collaborate together and see if this works. But I assure you, if you'd been in my home with my kids growing up, you would have seen things I was doing wrong. I'm a human being too, right? So I just say, if you have a gut feeling that you're exhausted, you're tired, you're worn out, you don't know what to do, you've kind of done everything possible, that's already a sign. And then for teenagers, they're a little trickier because
Teenagers.
they're my favorite. So I think it's, there are some things we really...
Probably most challenging too, I would think.
Yes, because their big feelings and their big behaviors are a little bit scarier sometimes, right? So
My son liked me until about 12 and a half.
yeah, but that's
And then
normal.
all of a sudden, we didn't have parents anymore. I was
But that's normal, and that's actually a sign of healthy development.
Yeah.
So around, and again, it's happening a little earlier now, around, I'm going to say 10, but definitely by 12, they're going through this period of time where they're trying to kind of separate and individuate from their parents, is what we call it. So they're trying to figure out, who am I? And the first step is to be not like you, right?
Drop me off over here, Deb.
Yeah.
Hey, you're a half mile away from the mall.
Mm-hmm.
That's
They
okay.
know you have parents. They know you can't drive.
I know, right?
But nobody should see it.
But nobody should see you. Right.
Not as this, yes. So they don't want to be like you, so they're going to experiment, trying on all kinds of different personalities, different things. They may start pushing back. If you have one faith, they may totally reject it or do something completely opposite. If you like a certain form of dress or hair, they may try to do something different. That's all normal. We may not love it, but it's normal.
It's normal.
Right? Where it becomes problematic, if we are, even just like experimenting with a drug or alcohol, believe it or not, is normal. It doesn't mean we have to rush and get help. It also doesn't mean we allow it.
Right.
But if we're starting to do this more frequently, if there's a substance abuse problem, if we're landing in the hospital from things, obviously that would be
That's a
easy
problem.
to spot. You know, even sexually experimenting is normal, but it's not normal when we're having multiple partners or being risky or getting pregnant. You know, so again, it's normal for them to have some body image issues and to feel confused about the changes that are happening in their body from puberty. It's not normal to restrict their eating, to self-harm. So there's a lot of things that are sometimes more difficult, and I see parents get really concerned about things that are normal, even if we don't, you know, we want to parent and discipline around that, right? And then we have sometimes kids who are really doing some severe behaviors, and then kind of everything in the middle. So if you're not sure, you know, go to our website, look it up, or, you know, contact one of us and we'll help you navigate it.
And as parents, you know, we need to know what's too little, what's too much, right? Where, at what, you know,
The balancing point.
The balancing point,
Sure.
like you said, a little bit of this is okay, a little bit of that. But some parents are like so hands off,
Sure.
and maybe they're just not doing enough because it's still a 12-year-old. They
Yeah.
still need
Yeah.
discipline.
Absolutely.
They can't be on their phone like now. My 16-year-old's at home on the computer 8 hours because he's with dad. But dad'll, excuse me, dad'll regulate it a little bit, and then they're gonna have to go back to school
Yeah.
in like
That's all
less than a
changing
month.
the school year.
But they have to go from 3 months of freedom to getting back into school.
Structure.
So maybe some tips and tricks on easing them back into. And yes, they're restricting cell phones at school, which
That
I
just
am
started.
for.
I am
Yeah.
for as well.
I'm okay
You're
with
there
that.
to learn. That's
Yes.
fine.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I'm with that. I think it got really difficult when we asked kids to start bringing devices to school
Yes.
to do work. I remember my daughter, who's 22 now,
Yeah.
she was in elementary school and they wanted her to bring a device to school.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, no, first of all, not everyone's privileged enough to have a device.
Exactly. Yep.
And then also, what device am I sending her? These things are expensive, and I'm sending it with
Yeah.
an elementary school
Right.
person.
And we had something like
Right.
an
Get
iPad
rid
for
of this.
Brian when
Yeah.
he was in elementary school, speaking of which. I forgot
Yeah.
all about
But
that.
an iPad, think about that. We're giving this to a third grader. An iPad.
A
I had this thing had,
$700 at that time,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
this thing had rubber bumpers on it because I'm
Yes.
thinking my other one would smash them all in his
Yes.
backpack.
Yes.
And I thought, why are we doing this? And why is this necessary? And it wasn't really. But I think parental controls, there's a Facebook website on that's parenting kids in a tech world. And I send parents to this all the time.
Parenting kids in the tech
In the
world.
tech world. And it's on Facebook,
That sounds
has a
like a
Facebook group.
resource.
You almost have to have an IT degree these days. I had a genius middle child who
Yeah.
he would go out and buy his own router, set up his own internet in the house.
Corey,
One
your
time
son.
I had it where they had to finish all of their
I
activities.
struggle with all that.
Both of them actually.
But he was so smart that I said, okay, I've got this figured out on that level. And when they would finish their homework and their other activities and they could have their internet time, they would bring me the device and I'd put the password in so they could have their internet time. Okay. This little sucker, man, y'all, he's a hacker. Sorry in case.
He
but
keeps stuff you were saying.
he put in a little
Yep,
thing that
yep.
key logged the password. And
Yeah.
not only did he use it, but he gave it to his siblings.
Yes. Of
So,
course.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know,
He
right?
was the most popular kid in the
Oh, sorry, I
household,
was
though.
clapping for him.
Until mom calmed down.
And he's older now. He's working
On the
for the
plus side,
FBI.
I
doing
was worried the
cybersecurity.
FBI was going to show up.
Yeah.
But you know, he's an engineer for Bluebell. So
There you go.
I talk a lot about helping parents
That's cool.
harness their kids' tendencies
Right.
for good and not for evil. And so
Exactly.
clearly he had this propensity to do. I thought he was going to go into maybe computer engineering or that type of stuff, but he went electrical. But I've always known that about him, so I used to give him like VCRs and TVs and things to take apart and try to put back together. By the time I think he was 4, he was asking me to build a plane, and I thought, okay, we went to Home Depot, bought all this stuff and boxes, and I remember he just looked at it and was like really upset. And I'm like, what's wrong? He's like, this won't actually make a plane. And I'm
He
like,
was
you're
4.
4.
Oh.
You're 4. And I'm like,
Wow.
oh, mommy doesn't know how to do that.
Yeah.
Like under the spectrum type of genius, or just
You know, probably. Like you said,
everybody is a
we're-
little bit these days.
we had mixed reviews on that. What I will say is he was severely ADHD, and that can everything in that spectrum can kind of cause some similar deficits. And now knowing what I know now, I think I would have had him in occupational therapy a lot earlier.
Yes, we did a lot of that.
Yeah,
A lot of
that's-
exercises.
Mhm.
What is occupational therapy?
There you go.
So occupational therapy, it's a wide umbrella, but in the terms I'm talking about is that we have these sensory systems in our body.
Okay.
And one of them helps us kind of with our sense of balance, and one of them helps us know where we are in space. And there's a really cool online video called Brain Highways, and it explains these two systems called proprioception and the vestibular system.
Brain highways.
Brain highways. So for parents
YouTube?
out there, yes, on YouTube.
Okay.
And I tell parents all the time, go watch these two videos because it looks very similar to ADHD.
Yeah.
Okay.
So kids who don't know where they are in space, they can't tell you any more than I remember my oldest son couldn't tell me he couldn't see. He didn't know any different, right? And it seemed like he did, but he was a little bit of a class clown, and it was because he was misdirecting that he didn't know what he was doing. And so by the time we got him into an eye specialist, I remember they put the big birthday cake up is where the E was, and he looked at it and he goes, a horse? And I was like, oh my gosh, my baby can't even see me. And he was severely like disabled with his eyes.
Wow.
And so it's similar with our system. They can't put words to it, but they're trying to figure out where am I. So they might be touching you a lot. Because think about it, if you were blind,
Where
you would
am I
be
in
touching the
universe?
wall
I
and
see.
yourself, right?
Okay.
They also tend to do a lot of like biting and chewing. So again, going back to those little kids who are having trouble in daycare for biting, we always look for ear infections and we look for any sensory issues because it's giving their body input. Oh, here's my mouth. Here it is, right?
Mhm.
They're going to chew their hair. They
My
might chew
son
their
does that all the
clothes.
time.
Mhm.
He's always kind
Really?
of chewing on his mouth,
Yep.
and I'm like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Because this is like, feels like a stimming thing for him.
Mhm.
Is it like a nervous tick? I mean, I don't even know if I'm saying that.
No, sometimes it's just their nervous
Talking
system's
to the
way.
brain, right?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
it's reminding them where they are because when you don't know where you are. So again, imagine your eyes are closed and you have no idea where you are. That feels a little scary, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
That feels scary. So they don't know that they're scared, but it's overwhelming. Okay, and then
Okay.
also there are other systems like
It's like sensory overload.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and some of it is they're seeking it out. They need all that, the stimming, they need that input so that they can be calm. And so these are the kids who do really well with different ways of moving their body or having things to play with, having things to do. And they're actually focusing. I promise, they're actually paying attention, even if it looks like they're not.
Yeah.
But their bodies just need more of that. And as they go through occupational therapy, we're meeting the body's needs and we're teaching them exercises and activities. Not we, I don't do it, but I refer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Great one out here is the Center for Developmental Pediatrics there.
Okay.
Not all OT places focus a lot on the sensory piece, and that's an insurance issue. Insurance doesn't like to cover just pure sensory work.
Okay.
They want you to have motor deficits,
Speech.
you know,
Speech
therapy.
therapy.
Mhm.
A little bit of
They'll do
that.
speech
Which I think I
therapy.
need some of that once in a while, speech
Yes.
therapy.
Yeah.
Speech therapy, articulating, that was a big
Yeah.
thing when you have a child under the spectrum and they're not verbal yet, and when they finally start to speak, they want to work on a lot of articulation. We did a lot of OT,
Yep.
occupational therapy exercises, like the crab walk and stuff. I was just telling a couple that I was with last weekend, and their 2 children may potentially be under the spectrum. They're doing some work with them, and I was telling them about these exercises
Yeah.
and getting them to OT, and then just a big thing is early intervention, right?
Absolutely.
Proactive.
So it sounds
Finding
like, yeah.
out early. That's what I tell people now, because my son is 23 and he's doing great. Just graduated UH and got his
Wonderful young
computer
man.
science degree.
Aw.
Right, and you can hardly tell. You know,
Oh, yeah.
he's like perfectly fine. And everybody's a little quirky these days, but my thing, I try to really, really get to people, especially now with these little ones,
Mhm.
is just don't be afraid of any labels.
Right.
ADHD, autism,
Yeah.
anything like that. Get them tested, and then just find out, and then just start on that journey, because
They're still your kid. And I think that was the hard thing for me, even as a
Yeah.
parent. So I understand that.
yes,
To say, I don't want to know if this is a thing.
exactly.
And then I remember my husband, and it was so grounding for me, he said, you know, he's still our kid. He's still the same person he was today, whether he has this or doesn't. And I was like, oh gosh, that was so freeing, right?
Yes.
And this was before I was a therapist, right? So now, you know, on the other side of this, yeah, I know it's scary. I know a lot of people, they are nervous about diagnoses, especially when it comes to things like medication or that type of stuff. There's a lot we can do. And I've had more parents than I can tell you come in for therapy for their little ones. And as I do their intake, I say, you actually don't need me. You need to go to OT first. Let's go get an evaluation there first, because this is all lining up with sensory issues.
Mhm.
They'll go there, get an evaluation, start that therapy, and they'll call me months later and say, my kid is a totally different kid. Thank you so much for sending us. And I would rather do that any day.
Yes,
Yeah.
I love that honesty, right?
Yeah.
Instead of just, oh, let me just make a bunch of money off of these people. Let's like actually help
Mm-hmm.
people.
I'm a little bit of I love to be an investigator, so I get a lot of complex medical issues and neurological issues. So I partner with a ton of different providers in our area and around, because a lot of things that people think are mental health aren't. And they don't do a good enough job of training therapists on those, what we call differential diagnoses. So a big word for what else could it be that maybe isn't a mental health issue.
Exactly.
So a lot of,
Everything's not fitting into this box, so it might be in another one.
well, okay, for example, kids who come in and they've seemingly been fine before, and then all of a sudden now they are just scared of everything, and they're having these sort of almost OCD-like behaviors. They're checking things, checking locks. This would be something that would make any parent think maybe they need therapy, right? So they come into our office, and a therapist who isn't trained to look at the big picture and to look at all those details might think, okay, this is an OCD kiddo, let's do some OCD therapy work.
Yeah.
Well, if it was sudden onset, that's an immediate flag to me. We need to be considering anything possibly medical. And there's a thing called PANDAS, which is something that comes from a residual of strep infection, where strep can cross over into the bloodstream, get into the brain, and sometimes parents never even know they had strep. That's actually why sometimes it gets so bad. And there's actually blood tests that they can go do to see if they have it. We treat them with antibiotics, and the vast majority of the symptoms will go away.
Wow.
Yeah. Sometimes these kids will still need a therapy because they've
Yes.
learned some behaviors or whatnot, or they've
Sure,
been scared anyway. We've had kids come
And
in with,
behavior becomes a habit.
Have to,
Okay.
or we've had some
Undo
kids who've
that
had side
damage.
effects from a brand new allergy medication that they started. Zyrtec, I remember one, where they were having horrible hallucinations. And so of course this made the parents think that there was something mental health related. But again, when we look through that thorough history, we go, okay, tell me when did they start this medication? And we start to see a pattern. Then we're like, hey, we're not a doctor. We can't tell you what to start or stop. But how would you feel about maybe just taking a few days off Zyrtec or this medication, maybe talking to your doctor? And then again, those symptoms resolve. They don't need us. They might need it after. Like this one, I think needed it after, or just that was scary for them. We've had a couple of kids with that.
But we're talking about like an over-the-counter allergy medication.
right?
Yeah, and they don't think about it. And I've seen
Right.
several with these allergy medications
Or
for
strep.
kids.
These
Yeah.
kids get strep all the time in school.
Yeah, or mold exposure. There's so much mold exposure issues.
Schools are petries of
Everything.
Yeah.
Of yumminess.
That's true.
I mean, even Lyme disease, which we don't have as much ticks here, but people, especially after summer, going on to camping and
Yes.
I've heard of it, but I've never known anybody with Lyme disease.
Yeah.
So
it does happen. And it
Now, do you
contributes to
do?
all things.
Sorry. Do you do like a 2-3 hour intake the first time to be this investigator when you have a new patient? Do you have?
We have sort of a multi-step intake process. So our with children, again, there's a little bit different between children and adults. With children, we have an intake with the parents first because we want to get all this background history. And that we're going to get a huge thorough intake packet, then we're going to sit with them in the session. And already right away, I've been doing this so long, I can usually figure that out right
pinpoint
away.
something.
But then we do additional assessments later. So we'll do some actual computerized assessments that help us sort of dial in on some things. Sometimes we'll do a family assessment if we think there might be a family situation going on, or maybe the family just needs a little extra support, or maybe this is something only happening in a family environment. That happens too. And then we'll actually do observational assessments with the child. And so once we have all those pieces together, it helps make a bigger picture for us.
Nice.
We don't always need all of that, but that's sort of our standard process.
you have some stuff coming up that we were talking off camera.
Yeah,
So please,
absolutely.
let's tell everybody out there all about it.
Well, I'm excited. So Katy Counseling has partnered with several other practices here in the local area to do an event to help support the storm victims. Anyone who was impacted in any way by these floods in the Hill Country, whether this is somebody who was there and survived, whether they lost a loved one, whether they were a first responder or someone helping with the cleanup efforts, or they just knew somebody who was involved and that impacted them in any way. So it will be next Friday, the 27th, from 5:30 to 7:30 at Special Cheers, which is an occupational and equine therapy place. We have a load of what's called EMDR therapists, and it's a special trauma modality. It's been adapted to work with groups that are going to work to help just reduce the symptoms that are coming up for anyone. A lot of times just having those mental pictures popping up in your head over and over again, not being able to get it out of your head. Maybe you're having nightmares or thinking about it, or just, difficulty concentrating, getting things done, just getting going. It will help reduce those. And then we'll have some interactions with the horses, just to do some
So
grounding
this
work.
is going to be in person.
In person, yeah, it's free.
Where is that place?
Special Cheers is off of Clay Road, and
Okay.
it's right at the edge
See, I
of
always
West
have to
Houston.
get myself
Yeah.
a little visual of the location.
Yeah, but it's completely free, and it's for all ages. So we'll have
Off of
groups for
Clay, and I'm
kids.
sorry, I think I
I
interrupted.
think it's Aldridge. Don't get me.
Okay.
Don't,
We'll put the link in the
yeah,
comments.
but the link
Special
to the
Cheers.
event is at katycounseling.com/storm.
Okay.
And you can find it from our homepage as well. But that's free. We just kind of ask people register so we know how many volunteers to have.
We'll put it in the link below, but please register.
Yeah, or share with anybody you know who might benefit from it. It's free. This is just absolutely coming from a place of love and support. The people that we've had involved in this are amazing therapists and just have a heart to serve.
Thank you for doing
So,
that.
And you can see also all the people who are involved on our website, links to them as well. So
Okay.
In that same vein, I'm so sorry.
Please.
So if we have parents in the area, and their children are also seeing the stories coming out of, and they're seeing that children their age pass away, what's something that maybe parents can do when they're talking to their kids about what happened?
yeah, my biggest tip for all parents is to just allow these kids to express their feelings. Right? Be a safe space for them to talk about it. I think it's natural for us as parents to want to save our kids from these bad feelings. So in an attempt to sort of save and rescue them from it, we try to minimize it, or, say, well, that won't happen to you, or don't think about that, or, we're really trying, or, okay,
Sure.
I know that was hard, and let's go do this instead.
Right.
And really, if
Here's
we can-
ice cream.
Yeah, exactly.
I love ice cream.
No, you're right.
And I get to say that 'cause
save them.
I did it too as a parent, right? And I sometimes still catch myself being like, "Ooh, okay, do you just need to stop, or do you need me to fix it?"
It's true, it's true.
My grandkids are older. So just if we can make space for them to just say, tell me more about that.
Yes.
I see that you're really upset about it. I see you're really, really
Yeah.
worried.
What do you
I'm
think?
here with you.
What do you feel?
Right,
What do you
get
see?
through
What are
this
you
together.
hearing?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. And so that's my number one tip. I mean, obviously we don't want kids exposed to all this media. So if you've got the TV on, please turn it off. If do monitor what they're exposing themselves to. I think even as adults, I don't know about you guys, I know better. I'm a therapist and I was still doing scrolling.
Yeah.
Right? I would catch, and I don't even watch the news. I'm a non-news person because it's
I
not
don't even
good
have
for
TV
me.
in my house.
Yeah, but then I just found myself kind of going, and I would feel it, and I would be like, okay,
Yeah,
this
yeah.
is not
I
good
know,
for me,
right? I can't stop myself.
Yeah. So, it's not any better for our kids.
You said something earlier, and it's something I struggle with personally. Do I need to listen to them, or do I need to fix the problem? That is a struggle for me, because I have the persona of always wanting to fix
Of
everything,
course.
and sometimes I just need to shut up and listen.
All of us. It's
Uh-huh.
true.
I would say actually we always need to shut up and listen first.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why. So if someone's coming to you and they're upset, they're in this more activated space, so they have a lot of intensity, and we can't problem solve from that space. We call that the red zone or the yellow zone in our zones of regulation. You may have heard about it. But if we think about this as the brain, right? This is the frontal lobe. This is we call the diencephalon limbic system. It regulates our feelings.
I have
and
no
our
idea what you
brainstem.
just said, but
Yeah,
I'm
it's
listening.
just whatever. It's the brain. So when we're upset, the frontal lobe that does all the thinking, planning, and problem solving is offline. Have you ever heard someone say you flipped your lid or blew your top? When we're upset, that's offline. That's not there. We can't problem solve with this because it's not.
You're,
It's not
you're
lit.
venting anger.
You know?
Okay.
Well, maybe we're sad. Maybe we're scared.
Yeah, true.
So we have to come in first, and when we listen, it helps bring this back online. So we say, gosh, you know what? I can tell that you're still feeling upset. And we have to be regulated too, parents, which is really hard. So if you're noticing you want to
Deep
fix
breath,
it,
everybody.
that means you're not regulated, right? You're feeling something. So first thing, maybe even start breathing yourself.
Yes.
I can tell you're really upset. I can tell that I'm here.
Yeah.
What do you we're going to figure out what to do with that. But what do you need right now? Because I can tell you're so really upset. What would help you in this moment? And then we'll deal with this. And then we help them get calm. We help them feel heard and seen. And when we can tell, because you're parents, you know your kids, again, trust your guts, right?
So true.
They're regulated. Then you can say, hey, I'm know earlier you were upset about what happened at school. Let's talk about how you want to handle that in the future. Let's problem
That's
solve
great
now.
advice.
So both can be true. It's just about timing. Right? So if someone's coming and they're really regulated, hey, this thing happened at school and I don't know how to fix it. I mean, that's on, you can do it. But if they're upset, it's get this regulated first. And connection.
I love that visual.
And connection is a pathway, right? You are their safe space, you're their parent.
Yeah.
So you have that ability to come in and connect, and that brings them to that regulated space.
And bringing it into the real estate world,
Mm-hmm.
you have to be the realtor, broker, parent, because these are your children clients. Just bring it into
Other agents as
reality.
well.
So,
People on the other side.
we deal with the same thing. We're in title, in real estate.
Yes.
This is a highly emotional transaction.
yes.
And that's such great
Fine.
advice,
People are
though.
stressed out.
Because
They are.
You
Right,
cannot,
we need to do the same
you
thing
can't,
as
yeah.
title people, as brokers. Just try to just like, because everybody's like, ah, and it just like listen for
if
a
you have
second.
someone emotional in front of you,
Yes.
you have to get the emotions regulated first before
Right.
you can try and reason with them.
This is true in
Yeah.
business,
Yeah.
right? We talk
Amazing.
a lot about this even with employee-employer
I love it.
relationships. And
Yes.
HR people
I
are
do too.
very good
Yeah.
at this, by the way.
Mhm.
So we teach a lot of things like the levels of validation. So if we can just validate, it doesn't mean we agree,
Yes.
but sometimes it's just summarizing what they said and letting them know we really heard them and
Acknowledging.
understood it,
Mhm.
right? So this is good in business. This is good for couples. We teach couples this
Mhm.
because the same thing happens with couples, right? We get really activated and upset, and we have two people like this. There's no brain on.
There's no brain between.
So this is not just for
That's
kids.
a great
this is
analogy.
for any
We call it rock brain
Yeah.
in autism world.
Rock
We're like,
brain?
Rock brain.
Yeah.
Where you just nothing's getting in. It's just
Well,
you
that
can't
rigidity,
reason with people. You can't.
but the rigidity is actually coming from a place of that fear, and I need to control all of this and have everything
Yes.
just so I don't have to feel this activation. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Do you guys do? And I know we're wrapping up. Do you still do a lot of group therapy? Because I think we did that with Drew when he was little. We worked on the unthinkables with Superflex. And that was very helpful for us. I'm sure things have evolved so much, but do you do a lot of group therapy with the
We
kids?
actually don't. So we primarily are one-on-one or with couples or families. There are a lot of opportunities for group therapy, social skills. The
Yes,
therapy
social
culture,
skills was the main
we
thing.
send them to, and they do a really great job of that.
Okay.
It's not something we focus on.
Okay, so that's a referral.
Yep.
Okay.
And what is the youngest
Helpful.
client that you've had?
The youngest one I personally have ever had was 17 months old, I think.
Wow.
But there's even a whole thing called First Play, which is for parents, like for the postpartum women and their infants. We don't have it at our practice, but I know some people who do that. I do a lot of TheraPlay, and TheraPlay is an intervention that's for families and attachment. So people who have adopted children, or maybe they have their own hard past and they just want to make sure that they're able to parent well or do things differently with their story. So really, yeah, I think our youngest one in the center right now is 2.
That's such a loving act, though. As a parent, if you know that you were not parented well
Yeah.
and you want to be a good parent, this is what you do.
We don't
Yeah.
know what we do.
That's-
We don't know
that's
what we weren't
fantastic.
taught.
We don't know what we
Yeah,
don't know.
sure.
Yeah.
That's right.
But you do know when you weren't parented well.
Yeah, we don't know how to do it, right? So
Yeah.
we tend to swing the other direction. Like, I'm never doing this, so I'm going to do this opposite thing.
Mhm.
And sometimes the opposite isn't great either. It's better
Right.
sometimes to be in the middle,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So
Oh, so much to talk about.
This
We'll
is so
definitely
good.
Thank you so much for
Yes.
sharing everything.
Yes.
Both of you ladies, you guys shared a lot of stuff today. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Good stuff.
If they want to connect with you, what is the best way for them to reach you, Kelly?
absolutely. So to go to our website, katycounseling.com, there's a free consult button there, or you can give our office a call directly at 832 406-4304. Wow, why don't I not know? I'm like, what? Yeah, see, it happens here too. But really, the best way is just go on our website. You can call or text straight from there or email. And if we're not the right fit for you, our goal at Katy Counseling is to make this simple for everyone. So if we're not it, we have a massive resource database, and our goal is that everyone who contacts us gets put in touch with somebody who can help them, whether it's with us or anybody else that we know. So it's not just we're looking for you to contact us for us. We want to help you connect, because this is tiring and exhausting and hard when you're a parent or a couple or an adult or someone who's had trauma trying to get help. I don't want you to have to call 20 places.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
All right, we'll see you guys next week. We appreciate everybody for watching. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Bye.
We're good.
Awesome.